What is going on, everybody? I'm Adam Pross, your host of the River Run podcast, and man, I am excited. But before that, let's take a run to the river. All right. Welcome. Tonight is the night. You might know her as the Northern Kayak Angler, or goes by the name of Jamie Stevenson. She will be in the studio shortly. But before that, so I want to touch on a couple things because we had the third annual Pike Hard Knocks Fishing meetup at Cherry Beach, and I just wanted to say it was fantastic to get out on the water again after so long. I've been out on the bank, I won't lie, but like to be out on my kayak out there, the Bite FD, it was its first time on Lake Ontario, so I had a minor issue with my electronics and my battery, which was kind of not what I wanted to find out the morning of. But hey, I still got out there. I caught fish. I paddled. I pedaled. I shook hands, high fives. And, at the end of the day, there were so many great anglers that came out. We had fun. And it was awesome because it's just a meetup. Like, come hang out, bring a PFD, bring a kayak, bring some rods, and just come and get out on the water with us. Hard Knocks is, it's grassroots. It's people getting out. We're getting together, we're all there to support each other. Gives you a chance, we all have these crazy jobs, we do this, we do that, but sometimes it's not always easy to get out on the water when we want to. Well, Hard Knocks is doing something for, no cost, no nothing. Just come out, hang out, get on the water with us. So yeah, Steve actually will be coming on the show at some point. But as for now, we got more Hard Knocks meetups coming up. So get excited because I encourage every one of you to come out. It's going to be mostly throughout Ontario. So if you've never fished in Ontario, great opportunity. Another one too is, did you see the hats from Kayak Bass Canada? Oh my God. The boys at KBC, Kayak Bass Canada, Jason Brock, Aaron Dodds, they did something. They printed some of the sickest flat brimmed hats and trucker style hats. Now, I gotta say, give it to these boys because I gotta say it, it turned my swag on. It's awesome. If you haven't heard about Kayak Bass Canada is very similar in the sense to the Kayak Bass Fishing in the United States by Chad Hoover, but this is the Canadian version of it. So it still follows the KBF, but it is a Canadian, and it goes across Canada, online tournaments, greet and meets, kind of stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they have a lot of fantastic sponsors, and there are some absolute hammers on Kayak Bass Canada. My guest tonight, she is one of those hammers. She has fished it before in the past. If you guys are interested in more of an online style challenge where you have, the month of, July, August, September, and so on, to go out there and bang out a 5-fish stringer that, it's got, 21-inch smallmouth on, or, big old, largies, whatever it does for you, it's about having fun. And, it's really easy because it's all through the Fishing Chaos app. The rules are all laid out. And you know what? The boys at Kayak Bass Canada put on an awesome live. And you know what they do? They raffle off some awesome prizes from their sponsors like Shimano, NRS. I gotta be honest with you, for the entry fee, it's worth it, and big bass and all that. Like, so if you are a diehard angler, like tournament guy here, and you're interested in trying it out, or you just, want to kind of get into the whole tournament fishing style, well, check out Kayak Bass Canada. Find them on Facebook. They are on Instagram, so Instagram is slowly coming back into the stream for Kayak Bass Canada. So give them a follow. Like, if you're not following Kayak Bass Canada on Instagram, check them out, follow them. Another one too is the Kayak Fishing Life. The Kayak Fishing Life CHIO event is coming up this July, and I'm telling you, it is awesome. It is probably, like, from my standpoint as a volunteer coordinator, it is probably one of the most powerful and biggest charity events in Ontario. I can't say for Canada, but I would say in Ontario for CHIO, which is the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. And there are a whole load of anglers who I believe as heroes for CHIO. So you can help out by making a charitable donation, and a charitable donation to the Kayak Fishing Life benefit for CHIO. It goes a long way. Last year, believe it or not, we raised over $27,000. And so this year, they put out a fun little challenge, which is, for those who are interested in fundraising, if you got 3 prizes that you could win for, I believe, like the most fundraised down to, the second and third, guys, it's amazing. Like, this is a really awesome event, and it all goes to CHIO. It's nonprofit. It is all for CHIO. So I'm going to drop that down in the links there for you at the end of this. I'll also put it up on my Facebook page, which you can already find it there. But yeah, Kayak Fishing Life, it's sold out. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it went fast this year. I was blown away. And I think that's really awesome for everybody that did sign up. You guys are all heroes for CHIO. And everybody, you can still do your part. If maybe you weren't able to make it that day, you can still do your part by making a charitable donation to the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario through the Kayak Fishing Life link. Now, Dubro Fishing, these guys, boom. They're awesome. So I originally started with Dubro Fishing just because I'd seen a rod rack that they had for ceilings, wall, and I was like, this is cool. I got to get one of these. I think it was Brad Hicks who I actually seen it off of. And so I decided to order one. And yeah, like it made this very unorganized tackle corner that I had, and like rods leaning this way and that way. And, like, guys, we spent so much money on tackle and rods and reels, and it's like it's like the end of the day, we're just like, oh, we're gonna go and stick everything here, or oh, we'll go lay it here, and all things end up falling. You know what? Check out Dubro Fishing. Why? Because Dubro Fishing is offering the River Run listeners save 10. So check it out, and the code for that is RUN or River. So RRUN10, all capitals. But yeah, no, I really want to just take a moment to thank the fine folks at Dubro for doing that, because like that's really awesome. With everything going on these days, it's not always easy to help out where you can, and so I'm very thankful for Dubro Fishing and wanting to help out on the River Run podcast. But yeah, guys, like this has been exciting. So as for the rest of the evening, I want to introduce Jamie Stevenson, the Northern Kayak Angler. Let's welcome her to the show. Jamie, what's going on?
How are you? Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited with what you're doing here.
Well, thank you for coming on. Like, I got to be honest with you. When I was going through this whole building the podcast with the paddle and fin, and just they're talking about guests and whatnot. Like, I had these people in my mind, and I was like, like I've like Adam Merrifield and like Jay Brown, and I have a couple others, and I think one of the highlights to bring to all this is that you're a very proficient angler, female angler out there on the water. You're not just Jamie Stevenson here. Like you're representing like Canada, in some of these major tournaments. You go out there on your home bodies of water, and you absolutely crush the smallmouth. You on the walleye, like, which is really cool because we have a lot of we always have a lot of smallmouth lovers like me. Like I'm a smallmouth nerd. So but when it comes to walleye, like let's be honest here, like that's a really fun species to catch. Why? Well, because when your body of water is not open for smallmouth, you got a chance to maybe still get out on the water. And I think too, as a role model, like there's probably a lot of young anglers, female anglers, and also just females who are new to the sport of kayak fishing, who I honestly really think probably look up to somebody like you, because over the years you have like you've kind of I don't want to say like you've done it all, because you're still doing amazing things, but like you've done some pretty impressive things. So before we get into all of this, just for the folks who don't know who Jamie Stevenson is, let them know where you're from, what you're doing, and I'll let you take the stage.
All right. Yeah. So I am from southwestern Ontario. I grew up in Chatham, Kent, not far from Lake St. Clair. I did not grow up fishing like a lot of other people. I kind of got into it later with someone who I was with, really got me into fishing. And then at some point for work, I moved up along the St. Clair River, where I still live now. Always fished out of a boat. But once I got out fishing on my own, starting ice fishing on Lake St. Clair, that ice fishing solo really gave me the confidence to push myself further and start fishing solo more often. And that's when my love for fishing really went to the next level. And I bought myself a kayak to give myself that independence of getting out on the water. A lot of the things I did, I was watching YouTube videos to learn how to walleye fish. I had never really walleye fished on my own at all. I knew nothing about bass fishing and bass tournaments. I knew nothing about fishing with artificial baits. So starting in 2018, I put my head down and I spent every waking minute thinking about fishing, learning about fishing. I mean, I'm still learning now. I still have a lot to learn. But I did fall in love with walleye fishing. We live in a great walleye fishing area. So, the kayak fishing just kind of evolved from there. And I've just been on the water every waking minute since. So it's been quite the journey.
No, that's like, I'll be honest, Jamie, like this is incredible. Like if I was just like seeing you out on the water, I would say, oh, I'm sure Jamie's been doing this her whole life. Like because I even look at your social media, it's like, oh my God, like the fish that you catch. And then you see in your where you've competed in some of you've represented Canada alone, not just you've represented like Hobie, or you've represented your Ontario, but like you've represented Canada. That's an Olympic. You're like, I don't know if kayak fishing will ever become an Olympic sport, but let's maybe there is room for this. I don't know, but what I can say though is like that is really something to be proud about. Like honestly, that isn't an excellent achievement. Like
and
but
it really is. It's a cliche, but like, it's time on the water. Like when I first got my Hobie kayak and I started kayak fishing, I would spend 6-7 days on the water and I just couldn't get enough of it. And it was my drive to learn something new, right? So I was happy when I first started going out. I was happy if I caught one fish. There'd be times where I would catch no fish. So just the time and the dedication into it to see, you see the photos now of the trophy smallmouth, but when I first started, it was not like that on most outings. So it has been a growing experience.
So, like, when it can't, like, so for me, I'm somebody who, yeah, when I was younger, I fished. I went with my dad or my grandfather. Like but I wasn't like out every weekend here. Like I didn't grow up in a household where fishing was, every weekend. It was something I did at the cottage, something I did. I go with buddies. We do, or we try fly fishing, whatever, on the West Coast. But for me, to get out on the water from the bank and then kind of learning about kayak fishing, same thing, like I'll be honest with you, I was really drawn to kayak fishing, and for me, solely was fishing for smallmouth on the St. Lawrence River, and I got into it, and I put my head down too, and I've just about tried to learn everything I can, and I still notice that there's an entire library of things that I don't know about
Yeah.
smallmouth. And so I'm sure you can relate that way when it comes to any type of fishing and the changing waters, the changing climate, and everything that's just going on. It makes it that much more fun to get out and chase because there's always something new that you're learning. You know what I mean?
There is, and there absolutely is. And going on new water, you learn even more. So, and I think that's really what helped become a better angler was when I started doing some more tournaments and traveling to different places I had never been before. You have no choice but to learn something as you go. So,
God, that's where the homework comes into play, and really understanding and talking. And I would say though, for a walleye, I'll be honest with you, I caught my very first walleye out of a kayak last May. I've caught them out of boats before. I've caught them off the bank. I've done it that way, but I've never because to be honest with you, I never really fished for walleye, and I had the opportunity to go out with a buddy of mine by the name of Randy Yu. He said, we're like, yeah, we're going to go out and try this new river. And, yeah, okay. I'm like, I'm all for this. Let's do it. And, and then I ended up hooking into this fish, and I was like, this is kind of weird. Like I'm really not sure what's going on here. Like, is this a wet towel? Like what, like I'm just, okay. You know what I mean? It's just like, it was like hooked, and then it was like, okay, take me, just take, like, there was really no fight to it in my opinion. And,
I find it very relaxing. A lot of people describe walleye fishing just like you do. And I find it just like the most relaxing thing ever. Early spring to do, just kick up your feet in the kayak, vertical jigging. I'm in love with vertical jigging. And I think that's where part of like my love for walleye fishing comes from. I just love that challenge, especially in a river with the current.
For sure.
Like I don't know. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, it's funny because it's very true. It's like I'm hooked, and it's like I got to go this way now. I'm going. Yeah, I'm gonna beat you. Where you hook into a smallmouth, and you've just pissed this thing off, and now you're like your heart rate's going because you're like, I don't want to lose this. You're like you're working your drag. You're this thing comes bombing out of the water, and it's like it's exciting. But it's like just heart-wrenching when that thing it's gone, and you're like, it's just spent all this time. And one of the things I find with fishing the St. Lawrence River is I could spend hours out there, and I'll be honest with you, I'm looking hard for fish, and I finally get on to a school, or I start to notice that, like this is, I'm seeing stuff that I need to start, dropping. Either I love the drop shot. So, but it's one of those things where, you're out there, you're battling the current, things are always changing. One day you thought you might have needed, this size weight. Next day you actually need this size weight, or, you got fish that are suspended. So you're not actually, you want to kind of slow down that fall rate just to give them a chance to look at it, not heavyweight that just goes all the way down. And, Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like, you get out there on the water and you spend all that time, and then, heartbreak happens, and you're like, you get that moment of feeling defeated. And you got to kind of pull it back together, that positive mental mindset, where it's a positive mindset where, you just got to kind of flip it back and get back down there. And so vertical jigging is something that I've done it a little bit.
Mhm.
Like I generally run, to be honest with you, I like running like a drop shot, Neds, Carolina rigs. I love the tubes, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But vertical jigging for walleye, like that's cool. Like what? So let's just like take a quick insight here on when you're talking vertical jigging. Now, you don't have to go in, and if you don't want to share it into detail about your baits and whatnot, but what are you generally running here? Like, do you, like, for me, like, when you talk about rod lengths and stuff like that, like
Mhm.
what's Jamie Stevenson's like setup for
A
vertical jigging that
lot of
gets her?
yeah. A lot of anglers are going more towards the shorter rods now. So I'm using a 6 foot rod, and there's anglers who are using even 5/8. So vertical jigging rods, they're becoming a lot shorter than they used to be. And I actually run a fast action rod, but a lot of guys maybe would just be medium fast. Currently using a St. Croix Icon, and the sensitivity of that rod, like it's almost, I swear, and I know it's in my head, but I can almost feel like I can feel the fish starting to inhale the lure at the bottom of the water. That rod just has, the rod tip just has so much sensitivity in it. Where I fish, the current is quite strong. So generally, early season, I'm running a 1 ounce jig head. One of my favorite lures to use, and most people know it, is Angler's Choice, the walleye minnow.
Yes.
Those things, the walleye love them. And also shout out to Limestone Lures. I have caught some really big
Oh,
walleye this year
Jeff Dix. Yes,
using
yes,
their
yes.
ripple worms. So you can see that in my Instagram too. Like shout out to them. But
Limestone
typically,
lures.
yeah, I use a lot of white in the river, but I'm finding that some of the darker colors that I got from limestone stone lures have been working really, really good for the walleye this year. Stinger hook,
Nice.
I do use the stinger hook, especially when the walleye are biting short. Those stinger hooks can really make your day if they're biting short.
Cool.
So yeah, that's
No.
kind of the gist of my setup there. 8 pound test on my line. So
Yeah. Now, do you generally do like, are you like floral, braid to floral leader, or do you go just straight floral,
I
or?
I do do braid to fluoro, and I don't think it's necessary for walleye. A lot of people will tell you that. I do, maybe just because the whole bass thing, right? Maybe it's confidence in my head, but I do braid to fluoro when I'm vertical jigging for walleye. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things I tried out last year for the first time was I ran straight floral on my drop
Hmm.
shot setup, and I
Hmm.
ran 8 pound, and a lot of everything I read, and it was like, it's a it was like, it's a bad idea. Like, don't do it. But I'll be honest with you, I really liked it. And
Hmm.
for the rod reel setup that I had, um, I like, obviously you need to pay a lot more attention to your floral than you do with your, obviously with your braid. You have a little more forgiveness there.
Yeah.
But I, like, in the past, generally I've always been like, when it comes to drop shots and or any like bottom like nets and stuff like that, I always do like floral, braid to floral. And for
Yeah.
me, it's when you get into line diameters and whatnot, I stick within like that 8 pound is usually where I am. I'll go down to like 6 and 5 if I
Yeah.
feel necessary. I feel it if it is necessary, but uh, yeah, no, the straight floral. I was surprised how, for like I had no issues with it, and I put it to the test on some fish, like all different sizes, and in different weights too. You know, to get it down there during times where the current is much stronger, or and you're battling the wind too, right? Like when you're the wind on the St. Lawrence loves to always change up on you. What looks nice and great when you're about to get out there turns into something else. And I think there's enough guys in this right now who can probably attest, who fish the St. Lawrence, who could say the same. But now, a 6-foot rod. It's funny because my favorite personal length for a drop shot rod is actually anywhere from a 6'8" to a 6'10".
Yeah.
And for me, that's what I've gone with a longer, like I've done the 7'6" range. You know, it is handy when but I find that length, I just feel like it's better for getting those baits further out there than it is really.
Yeah, when I'm using a drop shot, I'm definitely more, and I think I'm around 7'2", somewhere in there for my drop shot. I love throwing a drop shot. It's hard to get out of that. Once you're catching smallmouth on a drop shot, it's really hard to get out of that.
It's absolutely, it can be terrifying at the same time, right? Because like you've hooked into this thing, and now he's like, they have, the area is so much more which they can run. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny because when I spoke with Adam Merrifield about this, he kind of saw it the same way. Like, they've kind of gotten smarter in the way that they can shake these hooks. You know what I mean? And they can really move.
I've had them run directly into my kayak before.
Yes,
like, right at the boat.
Oh, that is okay. So it's funny you say that, because last year I noticed that even more with my bite, my bite FD, being a first time pedal drive user. I was like, I had more time for that rod in my hand, and I had the paddle on the side, but I was able to kind of maneuver my way around. But what I noticed was, when I was going around doing that dance with those smallmouth, any chance he got close to my boat, it was like boom, and it was like, wow, like he's literally throwing himself like full tilt at, and it was always, to me, it's always on the drop shot that they seem to do it, not so much like, and I've hooked into them on a tube or anything like that, but yeah, no, it's I think rod length, when you get into certain techniques, like that's an absolute rabbit hole that you go down. But for me, when it comes to casting, like I'm usually in that 7'4", 7'2" to 7'4" is like my happy spot for casting. But when it comes to spinning, most of my spinning rods are from 6'10" to a 7'1". I have like a 7'3", I think, too. But I will say one thing though: the St. Croix Icon series rods, those are a fantastic walleye series style rod. I had the opportunity to try one out, and I've had a couple of St. Croix over the years, and I still do. That's a really cool setup too, and it's neat too because they actually have more moderate to moderate fast action rods, which I find really help keep those fish pinned just a little bit longer. But you don't have to go to like a 7'6" or a 7'10" to achieve that. You know what I mean? Like you can get it in like a 6, 10 to, but yeah, it's those are great rods. Those are like fantastic rods, and St. Croix, it's always been good for in the times I've had it. It's good to with their warranty stuff. So but yeah, no, so was it, when you say like your fishing ability on big water, you've also you've gotten into the tournament circuit too with throughout Ontario. I believe you've taken part in like everything from, I would say, the Ontario Kayak Bassmasters, OKBT. I'm don't know how far up this way you've come, if you ever got into the KAO stuff or.
No, didn't quite get that far. I've always thought about it. I've always thought about heading up there.
Yeah, with Roberto.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was but I do know that with I believe you've done like the online stuff too for like KBF and like
Yeah,
Kayak Bass Canada.
Kayak Bass Canada. You know, I had so much fun fishing that event, those
Awesome.
online events. I really want to make a comeback this year just because I found that everyone like competing against each other, like everyone was so supportive, like, yeah, get out there.
That's what it's about.
I think I finished third the last time I did it. But everyone
yeah,
in
you
the
did.
top 3 or 4 was like, come on, get out there, you can do it, you can catch another big one. And it was a really great experience. So if you're new into fishing tournaments, kayak fishing tournaments in Ontario, and you don't want to do a live event, try the online event. Like, it is
100%.
You're gonna have fun no matter what. You're gonna challenge yourself, and to me, competing against yourself in an online event is how better you can do this month than last month. Like, to me, that's what it's about, because you push yourself to the next level, right?
Yes. You brought up such a good point. There is no better way, okay, than if you're interested in getting into tournament fishing. Now, before I started tournament fishing, I was just, out on the water. Be honest, I didn't even own a catch board or a hog trough. I was like very newbie style when I started back in 2014. And I didn't know that there was any groups or anything. To be honest, I just was like, I'm just going out there fishing in my kayak, and once in a blue moon, I would hear somebody else doing it. Had I had known about like KBF and all the other these online challenges. Now, what Kayak Bass Canada has done for the nation is bring in an online trail which gives you 30 days to go out there and fish at your spot. Whether your spot has to meet, there's a few rules when it comes to spots, but you have 30 days to go out there, or 31 days, however many days in the month, and you have however many hours you got to put out there. You know what I mean? It is up to you on how you want to finish, right? If you want to go for the win, go for that W, what are you going to do? You're going to put the time out on the water, and you're going to go, and but at the same time, there's other people who are going to do the same thing. Now, it's another great opportunity to, yes, meet other anglers and learn new techniques. Also, kind of see how other people, venture through. But at the end of the day, you're just all out there to have fun, and that's what it's about,
Absolutely.
And when you get into Kayak Bass Canada, or and there are other trails I'm sure do online, but you have an opportunity to win some cool stuff, whether it's gear from Yak Attack or like Frontenac Outfitters, everything to NRS, Shimano, like they kind of at the same time turn around and say, here, we got something for you guys, that your, let's say your entry fee plus your big bag, you're still under $100. In your you could be walking away with a $250 Yak Attack gift card. You know what I mean? But no, that's you're an absolute hammer, because like even in the KBF side, like so you're taking on the Americans and on their side, and you're doing something even crazier, is you're kicking some butt over there. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, I believe there's probably, and there was quite a few people maybe at your time when you started doing that, where you probably started to see like, holy crap, like there is a lot, there is a community, and I'm sure, in Ontario it started to grow, and then you start to see more clubs taking place and whatnot. So then you did the you fished OKBT, the Ontario Bass Trail.
I did a few years of OKBT. I try to hit their events whenever I can. Also, a great community. John Dean, Paul Winkle, for starting that. It was a huge for Ontario, right? Like, They were, in this part of Ontario. I know there's other
Yeah.
clubs further up Ottawa, like that. It was really how I got my feet wet in the live tournaments, and they were so helpful to me when I first started. And the people that I've met through OKBT, I now have lifelong friends that I still fish with on a regular
That's
basis
cool.
down here. Like
That's
I've met some of the most supportive people, and even now, they push me to be better. And this is
awesome.
why like getting involved in the community is so important. I met Rich Offner and Tim Percy. They live close to me and we fish together all the time. But better than just having friends, they're always pushing me to that next level. Like, hey, there's a tournament coming up. We're all going to be there. Are you coming? You're going to fish this event, right? So it kind of like pushes me. They keep pushing me to be better, right? And those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with: positive people, people who want you to achieve good things, who push you to that next level.
There you go.
Yeah.
Preach it. You know what I mean? Like, and that is one thing that is so strong about this all is community. Community is key for this sport. Without community, this sport, there's a lot of parts that are going to drop off. Like it's just the community aspect, and that's why I always encourage people. Like if you're like, there is a group for everybody. There's also everybody could be in any group that they want. Just because you roll with one crew, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't go with another crew. And what we're starting to see too is there's a lot of guys now who are venturing further and further, right? There are guys who are like yourself, like in that sense where you're getting into anglers, female, male anglers who are going and they're venturing out of the province. You know what I mean? Like Team Brothers on the Quebec side, they're beginning to really grow an Ontario following. You look at like OKBT has a following that was at one point was closer to its range of the Toronto. We'll use Toronto because not everybody's going to know all the other little parts, but everything around is growing now, pulling more from Eastern Ontario too, and like I just think like those are all people, like at the end of the day, like that's somebody who's doing something to bring people together, and there's so many different groups, and there's a group, if you don't like, hey, like there's Hard Knocks kayak fishing. If you're not interested, like if tournaments aren't your thing, to be honest with you, I'm not a tournament angler. I love being out on the water. I'm a very avid angler, but when it comes to tournaments, no, I'm not really a tournament angler. I love getting out on the water, and Hard Knocks, that's that's what we do. We bring that grassroots feel to bring it all together and encourage newcomers or anglers like yourself, like, hey, next meetup, come on out, like and it's nice when you have like from Kayak Bass Canada, the guys up there, like they're just fantastic human beings. Hard Knocks, fantastic human beings. You have like all the guys down at KBT, and the following of you even spoken about the Southern Ontario Topwater series, which that's kind of cool because that's new.
Yeah, the Southwestern Ontario Topwater series. Rich Offner runs that. There's a Facebook page. If you're interested, it is a great way. Once a week, after bass season opens, there's a Tuesday night tournament, and it's a few hours on the water, relaxing, fun. It is a tournament structure, but it is not, it's only as competitive as you make it. We go out for a couple of drinks after if you want. If not, go home. Like, it's a great way to meet new people. We've had new anglers come out more and more every year. And really, if you're new, you're interested, you just want to meet people in the community, don't worry, no pressure on the tournament, and just come out and have a good time on the water. Don't worry about how you do. It's all about just meeting the people. And I'm loving this weeknight tournament structure after work, out on the water. It is a really great way to spend a Tuesday night. It really is.
So, like, I'll be honest with you, like when you talk about your Tuesday night here. Like, it's hard enough in the world, when you think about it, like you got work and everything, but you got this tournament schedule that's laid out for Tuesday night. Like, they've laid it out for you. And it's usually the same body of water. And like,
So they switch locations once a week, but
okay.
normally it's within a very close, like Mitchell's Bay on Lake St. Clair. There's a few events up in the Windsor area or Rondo Bay, either the Erio side, and then they'll kind of like rotate those few launches. So some people come out for one event, some people come out for all events. So,
and now that like that's cool because a Tuesday night feels you're like I would say, oh man, I gotta wait for the weekend. Why? Because that's the only time I'm gonna get out on my kayak. But it's Monday, it's Tuesday morning, and I'm already loading up, ready to go. Why? Because I know when I hit that clock at work, I'm hit into the water. Like, that's cool. Like, and once again, bringing people together. Like, that's the important part, and that's, man, like and you said it, like you got to surround yourself with positive people and people who are there to
lift you up,
pump you up and lift you up and cheer you on, and at the same time say, hey, you know what, I think you could do better. You got this. Like, I think we all, and I'm sure in our lives, we all have friends like that, and if you need a friend like that, Jamie and I, we can be your friends like that, right? We can lift you up because positivity goes a long way. It does. It really does. And so that's that's pretty neat. So at one point, I remember seeing that Jamie Stevenson was going to be representing Team Canada. Okay. And Team Canada for the Black Bass Pro-Am, and I want to say, was it Tennessee?
Yeah, the Pan Am Kayak Black Bass Championship in Tennessee in 2019. That was that was an amazing experience for me, for sure. It was they've had a few events since then, but it was in Tennessee, Cooksville, Tennessee, and it was fishing against the Americans. They had people from Mexico. They had people from Costa Rica, I believe, from all over. So it was my first real international event, meeting other anglers, and fishing in Tennessee for my first time. It was a challenging experience. It was completely different than fishing around here, for sure. I learned a lot at that event. It is that I really learned a lot at that event.
Now, like, just out of curiosity, like, for those who may not really understand, like, how does one, like, it, like, if Adam Pross wanted to join or have a moment to get on Team Canada here, like, how does one actually do that? Like, that's not just really something you probably see a post about, or like, is that like are you selected for this? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, I think at that time it was the first event of the time. OKBT wasn't new, but at the same time, there were some certain fishing tournaments where people were selected just through how they were doing in the tournament series. And so 2018 was my very first year fishing a kayak tournament, a live kayak tournament. And I think just from fishing that, I was able to get that experience of going to that event in Tennessee.
That's quite the accomplishment, because when you think about it, like, hey, you just surrounded yourself, like we're talking here, with some Canada's elite kayak anglers, male and female, because like there was a selection of guys and there's a selection of girls, like, and that's that is like, that's a privilege. You know what I mean? Like there's something that, the experience that you're never going to forget, and however it went down there on the water that day, you surrounded yourself with Mexico, Costa Rica, the United States. Like I can only imagine what the US team at that time looked like. And, I'm sure that could at the same time could be just a little bit intimidating. I could
Oh
think,
yeah, especially when you're new and you're fishing against Chad Hoover and
yeah,
guys like it was a very intimidating experience at first, but
I'm sure at the
definitely
end
not
you're all
gonna let
hyped.
that stop you. So yeah, it was a completely new world for me, and I'm so glad I was able to have that opportunity for sure.
So, it's funny when you meet these people that you have followed. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you've followed Chad Hoover, or and yet now you get a chance to actually like you're standing across from them. You know what I mean? Like that's it is kind of neat to see these people because a lot of us I'm sure there's a lot of people that we talk to or we follow, but we've never actually crossed paths, right? Because like social media is like it's so strong, right? Like you can, in all honesty, you can gain a connection just through talking with people that you've never met. You know, it's not like how it used to be, where if you had fishing buddies, those were that was the fishing buddy. You know what I mean? Like it was within the back shop at the tackle, your shop, that back wall, if you that's where you put your picture up. You know what I mean? Now
Mhm.
we're catching fish, we're taking selfies, we're making videos. We're taking these epic hero shots. The grip and lip, and you start to see these iconic people who are, and there's quite a few, female anglers like, Christine Fisher, and uh, you could really just go through she's honestly one of the ones that first comes to mind just because she has
Oh,
such a following.
such a
But
following, and
when,
she's worked so hard. Worked so
yeah,
hard to get where she's at too, right? She's lived a lot of miles, put a lot of miles on the road to get where she's at today, and she deserves
yeah,
all that. That's for sure. Yeah.
and like it's now, like we're really beginning to engage with others, like
Mhm.
we're liking a post, we're sharing a post, we're commenting on a post. You get friends requests of people from the States or other parts of Canada, or even within your own community, that you're like, holy crap, I didn't know you fished. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
start to build these relationships, and you network, and at the same time it's pretty neat. And I think at the having that experience at you know up in Tennessee, actually it'd be like down in Tennessee, sorry, down in Tennessee, like that's a really big accomplishment. And I think at the same time, like that, I'm sure that like as an angler, that's an experience that you can walk away and say like, well, wow, like, hey, I can pat myself on the back. Like I just did something I never thought I could do. Second
Yeah.
of all, I can say, hey, I got out of my comfort zone. You know, I went head
Absolutely.
to head with some other people. I had to make decisions that day, and I fished somewhere that like I have never fished in my life. And yeah, at the end of the day, I'm sure like that all coming together as for on a personal development side of things, as growing as an angler, you know that there is a take home. That's a W right there. Like
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, that event really pushed me. Event really pushed me to do. So that was in 2019, and that event really pushed me to do more tournaments in 2020. It even at the tail end of 2019, it gave me the confidence that I needed to fish new lakes and try out different tournament series around Ontario. And 2019, 2020, I attended quite a few tournaments in Ontario, and 2021 and 22 a few more, but I had to slow down a bit after COVID. And now I'm just doing the ones that I can reach more locally, just because, as we talked before, hotel rooms in Ontario and things like that,
Yeah.
it can be
Oof.
quite
It's not
expensive.
cheap. It's not
No,
cheap.
no.
Well, and I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about KAO um, was the campgrounds. Like everybody would get be on a campground for the weekend, and I really liked that. And some of these bodies of water were actually, you could actually camp on. Then I started car camping
Hmm.
and but when you look at the cost of hotels, like
Yes, it's expensive.
it doesn't, and you gotta factor in gas and for
Hmm.
me, let's okay, so for me to get to Toronto, well, there's a 4-hour drive right there.
Yep.
Maybe for you that might be, less, but at the same time, if you cross the border now, it starts to get a little more expensive, right? Because now,
Yeah.
and if you're
Extremely, yeah.
hauling a trailer, you're talking food, there is ways to get around these things, obviously, to be more cost efficient in the way you do things. But yeah, it definitely, tournament fishing can definitely get expensive. It's, by the time you add in because you got to pay to fish, so and then you're going to
Yes.
want to enter the big fish bag because, well,
Yeah.
the day you don't, the day you hook into the biggest fish, and you're like, well, he didn't win
Absolutely.
it, and,
Yeah.
buddy with the fish 3 inches smaller than you wins it, um yeah, it definitely gets expensive. But I have to ask though, when it came to I'd seen a post that you were going to be fishing in the Hobie Fishing World Championships. Like,
Yes.
explain me this. That's incredible.
It is an
uh
incredible experience, and I'm very
wow.
grateful to be part of. I'm really looking forward to it. Hobie Fishing World is coming up this June 25th to July 1st. It's here in Canada, being hosted in Canada for the first time
Woo-hoo, let's go
on
Canada.
on Lake St.
Yeah.
Clair, which I mean is
Uh-oh.
smallmouth
Uh-oh.
fishery. We all know the legendary Lake St. Clair. And the
Yeah.
thing that I'm most excited about for this event is, one, not just to be fishing it, but so I was lucky enough to fish Hobie Fishing Worlds in 2022 in Sweden. It was
Yes.
an incredible experience. But now some of those people that I met in 2022 get to come to Canada, and some of them will be fishing for smallmouth bass for the first time in their life. So how incredible is it going to be to see
So many lives will
people
be changed.
to hook into one of a Lake St. Clair smallmouth, and I
I
see
have
people from Denmark and Sweden and hook into a fish like that. Like, it's going to be incredible. Australia, the Australians are going to be coming. They're a great group of guys. I think there might be some from New Zealand again this year. It's
wow.
it's going to be an incredible experience, and Hobie Fishing World really is something to experience it. And I'm pretty grateful to have been chosen to fish it
So
again.
okay, so let's just scramble back here, okay? I just want to go you if I was gonna go fishing anywhere, um, where would Adam fish? Well, I never would have thought to say, no, Sweden. And so you on the first
It
round, you went to Sweden to go fishing, and I believe it was for pike, was it not?
was for
And
pike and perch. So we had
oh,
to catch every day of the tournament. We had to catch 3 perch and 2 pike. And I definitely had the
like
perch figured out. Pike was a little bit tougher for me, which was a little disappointing for me because I fish for pike all the time here. I love fishing for pike. And
yeah.
it was a little bit more challenging for me when I hit Sweden, let me tell you. But
So
it was
what was that like though? Like, in all honesty, you like
it was.
If you're gonna go kayak fishing, you got to take a plane to get there. Like, it's not like, oh, hey, by the way, we're just gonna load up the trailer and we're gonna, I'll see you guys in 7 hours. Like, it's like I have to take a plane. Like, so your kayaks, obviously, like they had kayaks for you guys to
They
use
had
when you're out
kayaks
there.
there. We had to bring our own fishing rods, tackle. I purchased some travel rods to take on the plane with me. Whatever tackle I could fit in my suitcase that I thought would work in Sweden. We would hit up local tackle shops for anything we think might help. And Sweden reminded me a lot of a lake in northern Ontario. It was very rocky, very, very Canadian. Like, it kind of felt like home. It really did. And it was the
Well, you're
experience.
fishing for perch and pike,
Yeah,
so
big
like,
perch. Nothing like the perch around here. That's for sure.
it's funny. I've seen pictures of the
Mhm.
pike and the perch out in Europe, and it's just about as scary as the catfish they have out there. It
Yeah,
is like they are monsters.
they
And
are monsters.
like I have to say though, like when you come into the whole concept of, preparing for something like that, like your mindset, like like you're battling like, okay, for one, you're flying, so you're traveling, so you're running into, you're not sleeping in your own bed at night,
Climate change.
you're really out of your time change is huge, but
Yeah.
like you're out of your personal routine at this point.
Hmm.
And so you get into a new body of water in across the big pond, you know and hey, by the way, Team Canada, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's go. Like, now you weren't, it wasn't just you, like, you were
Yeah.
joined also with,
uh,
um,
Rich Offner and Tim Percy. Um,
wow,
yeah,
that's really,
great travel companions, great support over. Yeah, so I not being alone was really helpful. You have your own support system, right?
see,
Like, you have
yeah,
teammates
that's
to
important.
prop you up when you're having a bad day, and we would meet up after each tournament day, uh, relax, enjoy the sights in Sweden, and just talk about our day and what we learned and things like that. It was a great experience just to have that support system there, and then
Yeah.
as well as meeting everyone else from the event. And it was I'm really looking forward to hitting up the Hobie Fishing Worlds again this year. So
So,
it's going to be interesting competing against the Americans. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with coming out over.
yeah, they
Yeah,
are, because like, what's the other side of Lake St. Clair?
yeah,
So it's like that's not but who knows, like, and for those who will have that life-changing moment where you've caught in a smallmouth, a Lake St. Clair smallmouth, um like obviously you go out there and you're going to be fishing against people who, like you said, have never come this far north to fish.
hmm
They're coming at a beautiful time of the year, though. Like, this is, it's not like this is going to be during the fall,
hmm
which could make it a bit more of a different experience. But at the same time, that's a big body of water too, right? Like, so,
It might be for some people. Maybe it will be bigger than some of the what they're used to fishing.
yeah, like,
Um, Although there's a lot of people who will be coming who are used to fishing saltwater and being in the ocean, so it might not be as intimidating for them. Um,
yeah, like that's, I, I'm just trying to, like, wrap my brain around this, because like if I were to be going somewhere like that I've never fished before, and I may have not even, like, I don't fish mm, salt water, and I was to go down there and go and try doing some saltwater fishing, like I would, like, mentally I'd have to prepare myself like huge.
yeah,
Um because like I just wouldn't know, like I would, like, you have friends who will obviously help you get started, teammates and whatnot, but like to really mentally prepare for something like this, like, there's something to be said about that, like it's one of those things where like it's complete, like you must feel completely like out there, like, you know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah, I think
at the end of the day,
the mental preparation is huge, especially like you said, if you're going that far apart from saltwater to freshwater, or vice versa. That's a huge learning curve to get over real fast, and you do have to mentally prepare. I've thought about that scenario a lot. If say the Hobie Fishing Worlds was in Australia, how I would get over,
yeah.
fishing for species I've never fished before. There'd be a huge learning curve. There'd be a lot of mental preparation, a lot of studying to do on it, and figuring out what you're going to bring with you.
Yeah, well, like exploration, like, you know what I mean? Like you got, you know, X amount of days. Like, so how does it work? Okay, so come, you know, this summer when you get out there, so you're gonna have, you know, obviously the other countries, and they seem to do an amazing setup, and the event looks just like absolutely incredible. Because I
Nice.
remember watching the footage from when you were in Sweden, and like they really take care of like the anglers, you know what I mean? Like they're really out there. I even remember like when they had in Cornwall, the pro-am for black bass.
Yeah.
And so it was like the Americans, and I'm talking like Jacob Wheeler, like
Mm.
Scott Martin, Roland Martin, like big names. Like I've never seen the Ramada in my town with so many bass boats, but like so many bass, like Brian Latimer, like, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
like we're talking like some of the biggest name MLF guys, like we're Bassmasters. We're talking like, you know, the FL, like biggest names. And they were out here on the St. Lawrence River, and it was incredible, you know. But then you also had guys from like Mexico, um, and like none of them have ever come up this far, and they actually did it in, I want to say it was like October, November, and like the one day it was atrocious. Like the wind was like, I don't even think they allowed anybody to fish. But it was pretty neat to see like all these countries come together, you know, like just
It
for the
really
love
is
of the
an
sport.
experience.
You know what I mean?
It
Like you're
really is
all
an
there for the same
experience.
reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the part where
They bring the anglers together. It's
yeah, it's I would say that's definitely something that is, in my opinion, is the highlight of it all. Is you're meeting new people, you're fishing on a new body of water that you may have never fished on, and you know, at the same time, it's so important, you know, the team spirit, you know what I mean? You're all there to bring each other together.
yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, and I'm sure like you're probably looking forward to seeing some of the Americans and the, like you said, the Australians.
Yeah.
It's like the second time around, it's like, you know, it's almost like a high school reunion at this point, you know what I mean? Like you guys are all getting back together, you know, and like it's, you know,
Yeah. It's
you've
about the
waited so
fishing.
long.
Yeah, it's about the fishing, but it's also about the experience, hands down. That's what Hobie Fishing World is about. It's an experience, but the fishing is definitely a bonus. So yeah, I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
So, when like now that you're what preparation do you need to get going for this Hobie Fishing World Championship that you're about to embark on? Like, and do
Yeah,
you
so
know
my
who your
biggest
teammates are?
Yes, I do. And there is a website with all the details on the Hobie Fishing World, what the days of the events are going to be. It'll be Rich Offner, um, Tim Percy, Mike Bloomhagen, um, Nate Connolly, myself, and oh no, he's going to kill me forgetting his name, but everyone knows him. Um, oh shit, it slipped my mind, but just give me 1 second. He's a
That's all right.
hammer.
That's all
He
right.
can win any tournament, and he is going to be the one to look out for.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
oh, okay, okay. I was actually just about to run onto a website to find it myself, but what I was gonna say is, so now when we
Antoine, Antoine.
Antoine. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No way. So, I'm sure, like, just like any other team, you're all. So, do you all, when you get down there, like, you're all going to meet, obviously, strategize and whatnot. So, before you get down there, how does Jamie prepare for this? Like, how, like, what are we
Yeah,
talking
so
here? Like,
my biggest thing is I need to prep my tackle. That is my number one
cool.
focus. So I need to right now is a very busy time for me. I was focused a lot of time on walleye fishing. I need to start prepping my bass gear. So that is
Oh,
number one
yes.
right there. I've got to get all my bass stuff out of storage, stock up on stuff that I ran low on last year. It's definitely for me probably going to be a finesse game. So I've got to make
I like
sure
the
I have,
finesse game.
yeah, all my reels restrung, new line. Some of it's getting quite old on there. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, we're looking forward to that.
So, like, I'm just curious here. Like, when you go to the World Championship of Fishing for Hobie, do you bring everything in the kitchen sink? Like, how does one really bring this together here? Because if I was thinking, I would be like, okay, Adam, I'm gonna probably need to rent a moving truck because I'm gonna need to bring like everything. I need options for like A, B, and C, and then I gotta bring like every single rod. Oh, I gotta have an extra this. Because like that's like for me, like I would be like, okay, like I would like obviously like I would be focusing on my deep water game. Like for me, like as an angler, like the way I sort tackle, and I'm sure a lot of people have their own ways, but like I have like my river tackle, but
Hmm.
I also have like my big river tackle. You know what I mean? Like I have like small river and then big river, and then the way that I organize that is, I like for instance, like if I was to go, small river, like I'm probably only going to bring like maybe like two 3600 planos. I have like a bag for my plastics, and
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's say I bring three or four rods. Like like we're talking skinny water here, so like I don't really need everything. Like
I'm
and
thinking I can get away with 4 to 6 rods. I expect to see people with 8 plus, but I think
yep,
I should be
I
able to
bet.
get
Yeah.
away with 4 to 6, and I
Well,
wouldn't
Hobie gives
mind
you all that
keeping.
space.
Yeah, they do. They have the
Yeah.
Hobie
They
programs
they
are
do. They give
important
you
to
they give
me.
you the space. Yeah.
They do give you the space for sure.
Um,
Um,
like honestly, like so like if I go like let's say now I'm going on the St. Lawrence River, we're doing drop shots, dragging tubes, you know what I mean? Like I have my gear for that. Um, but when you're going to the worlds, I think you're going to narrow it down. Now you have a great advantage because you have taken the time, and probably quite a few of your teammates have taken the time to fish this body of water previous, whether it was a tournament, just getting out on the water, or a local water that you've fished your whole life. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty cool, and
yeah,
I'm sure maybe when you were in Sweden and you were like, like I'm not sure how I'm going to combat with everybody else. And the rules maybe reverse this time where they might actually be looking at you being like, man, this is like that we're on their home turf, you know what I mean? Like we're like, and if you're fishing for smallies, I'm sure there's gonna be a couple of footballs that are caught and there'll be a couple of
yeah.
touchdowns that are made. You know what I mean? Like it's
I think this could be something that could be anyone's game. Like I really think when it
mhm.
comes to smallmouth on Lake St. Clair at that time of year, post spawn, it's really going to
Ooh,
depend on the weather, right? What are the water temps going to be like? It's going to be. It could potentially be anyone's game. And while I think being local does give you a definite advantage, smallmouth, you got to find out where they are, where they're
that's
to.
I
It's
was
not,
just going to say
and
that.
being local, it just puts more pressure on
Smallmouth aren't
you in a way.
local. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're not.
So
They got
I
several
really,
houses.
I really think it's going to be the person who can figure out just what the pattern is that day, and it could change the very next day.
Well,
So
I think you have definitely.
as you are a pretty proficient smallmouth angler, especially on the big bodies of water that you do fish on, I think you have a lot of skill set that you're going to add to that Canadian team. But I also think you have some, like Antoine. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with. That man is he's really made he's made some pretty big like international, like he did the Bass Masters, and so
I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think there's a good chance he could take it home. I really do.
Well, and if Antoine, if you are out there listening, I think you're a fantastic angler, and we cross paths usually at the Kayak Fishing Life event, and it's always good to see him there. That he because at the same time, as much as he does like the big stage, he also takes time for like the smaller events, the local events, the community. That's cool. So big shout out to that guy, because he is definitely as I see it, as a Canadian kayak fishing his icon, the way he is doing things out there and upcoming, and I'm sure a lot of people look up to what he's doing. As much as there's a lot of like female anglers, like like that's I know there's quite a few of them in the States that when you're talking, they do take a lot of time to promote female anglers getting involved in their communities. At the same time, the more and more you see the encouragement to get other females to come out on the water too. Actually, at the Hard Knocks meetup, I met an individual by the name of Sonia, and she gave me this, like, we were talking, and I'm like, so tell me, like, you're out on the water like all the time? She's like, yeah, like I'm a grandma. Like, I'm like, grandma? Like, what? Like, seriously? Like, this is incredible. Like, this is amazing. And this is what I mean. Like, it's so cool who you meet in the community. You never know who you're gonna. And and Sonia, like, she's quite the female angler. And she catches, like, she's out like the St. Cat, like, she's out that way. But like, it was really cool to sit down and meet her and talk with her and get out on the water. And like, like, these are people, like, like, there's no age here limit. Like, come on, like, if you're young, you come on out. If you're definitely much older, no longer a spring chicken, in my opinion, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the ability to bring others out there. And
for sure,
I think that's important too, right? Because there's also a lot of young anglers out there. Like, I know, like, Steve Eight's daughter Paige, like, she's like big into getting out on the water. Myself, like, I took my daughter out kayak fishing. She had an opportunity to get out actually on Jameson Redding's NAR and his Coosa X out at the JK Fun Tour last year at Frontenac Outfitters. And that girl, I took her out and we were in this bite FD, and she had her first opportunity to catch a largemouth out of a kayak. And I tell you, it was like, she said she gets home, she's like, Dad, do you think we can go fishing again? And at the end of it, like, it's all she ever talks about is, can we go fishing? Can we go fishing, Dad?
That's what you want. That's what you want. It's awesome.
And I'll take that any day, because but what I was getting at is, for you, like, you're quite a role model, in the community for female anglers. Like, you've really shown, like, that you get out there, you can do it, and so I also saw a post about a new kayak that you may have acquired. I'll let you talk about that, because I saw that thing, and I'm gonna tell you, the color I thought was just spot on, like, just absolutely spot on.
Yeah, so I went to Full Green last week and picked up the 2024 Hobie Pro Angler 12 with a 360 drive, the 360 XR, which is new for this year. And they have a new color that you can get for the Pro Angler 12 and 14, and it's called Campfire Camo. So it's like a really cool, unique red camo color. And
well, that I think that's fitting because I always on social media, I always see Jamie kicking her feet up beside a campfire, you know, with the trailer. So I find that actually quite fitting. And
yeah.
so new kayak, like what like give us the juice here. Like how does Jamie rig her kayak? Like I don't want to, you don't have to give away all your secrets here, but like electronics, like what are we talking here? Electronics, like are we talking, are you running like live scope, like have you gotten into any of that, or are you still running just down imaging?
I have not gotten into the live scope yet. Now I run a Lowrance Elite FS9, so I'm set up to get there. So I got that that unit because I knew I would be able to upgrade to the active target when I'm ready. Would I like to upgrade now? I do and I don't. I feel kind of like this about it. I do think when it comes to tournaments that it's a great tool to have. You don't necessarily need it, but it is something that I think I want to learn in the future when I have time to commit to it.
Yeah.
But no active target right now. And then for the rest of the kayak, I did start using a motor last year, so that's been a bit of a game changer in some aspects, especially fishing a river system against the current. I have a lot more fishing time versus paddling back up river to hit the the same drift that I want to do again.
Yep.
So that's mount. Yeah, you can relate to that.
I can I really can, because like last year I was the first ever to get into the whole pedal drive part, and it's phenomenal. Like the pedal drive is definitely a game changer, just because you have the ability to any kayak PFD paddle, that's a must. Careless if it is a pedal drive, like don't rely solely on a pedal drive that it'll never fail you, because trust me, it will happen out there. But having that paddle is important. But the whole point of this is that for years I've solely paddled. Like I paddled, and like I cast, I got to kind of hold position, and it kind of takes away from so getting out there in this Bite FD, and I'm like paddling my way across, and I can can see my down imaging. I'm working it. I'm like, wow, like this is like I got the rod in my hand. You know what I mean? Like it's nice, but I could just see a motor, and like if I was gonna add any motor, don't get me wrong, the Torqeedos they look phenomenal. I've seen them firsthand, and I know people that have them. On yours, you're running the Newport, are you not?
Yeah, the Newport
NK180?
NK180, yeah.
Nice.
That's one that I chose, and I think I'm really happy with that one. I don't see the need to upgrade for the 300.
You don't want
really
happy.
I know I
two
say
300s for the Hobies,
That's true. And I do have that motors mounted with the Percy plate from Tim Percy. He makes the mounting plates, and then
yes, I've seen that.
It has the bracket for the power pole, and it has the bracket for the motor as well. So you have that option of using both. Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I'm probably going to be heading that way. I don't think in the near future by any means, but I would definitely like to try it out just to see, because I really think there's some spots, like for me personally on the St. Lawrence River, where like having a motor would just be like it would make life a lot easier, hands down.
It makes things easier because you have more time on the water fishing, but at the same time, it's like one more thing you have to bring out on the water.
Yeah, and extra weight,
that's right. Yeah, extra weight.
and extra weight. And I'm sure this could be like a whole nother topic that we could get into. And it definitely is a rabbit hole for sure. But like, I'll be honest with you, when you get into the topic of motors, there is a real science in the way that these motors are mounted. You know what I mean? Like, because your seat placement becomes the next part, because you want to maximize your plane, and like, you're also talking to a guy that's never had a motor on his kayak. But like, the way that just speaking out of my head, the way that I see it, like, there is a way that, like, your rigging game probably begins to change a little bit too. You know what I mean? When you begin to add this, because at the same time, every motor has a battery, and every battery is extra weight, and extra weight in your kayak, whether and like, I'm sure all kayaks have their own capacity ratings, but at the end of the day, the amount of battery life that you put on there to the size of the battery, you know what I mean? Like, that comes into play. Also, I'm thinking probably your seat position probably will also play a factor, whether you're sitting too far forward or you're further back, to be able to get that boat to plane, kayak to plane. I've watched a couple Jeff Little videos, and Jeff's he's touched on torpedo. Like, he's just about put a torpedo, I would say, on every boat. I've seen the Newports, where I know a couple guys that put them on, everything from Old Towns. I've obviously seen the Hobie that you had with it on too. Like, when you're putting a motor on a boat, like, at the end of the day, like, you would definitely have to say that, like, yeah, there is somewhat of a science that, you got to kind of get out there, test it out, feel for it.
Make sure you have it adjusted right. And yeah, for sure. Do you need a motor? No, you don't. So anyone out there, like, it is not necessary to get out there. I was catching big smallmouth long before I had that motor. So don't get too focused on the big stuff. Some of the stuff is just stuff I've accumulated over the years, and you have little goals and you add equipment. But I was just as happy fishing without a motor, fishing without a fancy Lowrance unit. All you need is a fishing rod and a kayak, and get out there, have a good time, right?
Yeah, paddle and PFD, and that's get out there and have fun. Like, you can, and that's such a good point. Like, I think sometimes we get too caught up on this, and we think like, oh, we need this, we need everything, and you don't. You can go out there and you can catch fish, whatever species you are out there to target, but you can do it just in a kayak. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the best kayak on the market. Go out there, and like I said to anybody, before you really want to dive into something, get out there on the water, have fun, and at the same time talk with people, because every kayak is different and everybody has their own needs. And when I got into this, like, for me, like, I literally went out in a Pelican Icon angler, I think it was called Icon 10 or 100 or something like that, angler. And I won't lie, like, some of the spots I went to, I think back, it's like, like, what was I thinking out there? But I always had a PFD. I always communicated where I was going. But I literally went out with like 2 rods. I had a net, and I had like this little, like, well, it used to be like it was a camouflage cooler bag that I made a tackle bag, and then I one time left it on the bank, and then I realized why you should never leave a lunch bag on the bank full of tackle that's camouflage, because you're probably going to turn around and forget where it is real quick, because it blends in, right? But needless to say, you can go out there and you can have fun. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's about. But yeah, Jamie, like, I gotta say, thank you so much for coming on. And at the same time, I did want you to let them know where you can follow Miss Jamie Stevenson, because she's definitely got some awesome content out there. So yeah, let them know let them know where you can follow and give big shout outs to, plug all the sponsors you want to do, or the friends and the family too,
Yes, so the number one place you can find me is on Instagram. That's where I post the majority of my content at Northern Kayak Angler. Same with Facebook. I'm on there, Northern Kayak Angler. Pretty much any social media, you can find me at Northern Kayak Angler. And of course, I would love to thank Folk Marine for having me on their Hobie fishing team. It has really taken me a lot of places in the world, and I am forever grateful for what they've done for me. Companies, shout out to Limestone Lures, Angler's Choice, and those guys have welcomed me into their family, so that is great. And of course, my family, and for always supporting me and all the crazy things that I do. So, and I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Calling me a role model is like, wow, that is a lot to.
You really are. Trust me. Like I said, Jamie, you are a very influential person. I think in the sport of kayak fishing in Canada and in the just all over, because you were showing people, anglers, that anything is possible, and you don't necessarily have to be doing things your whole life to think that you got to be up there at the top. You can go out there, put the time in, and you're showing that you're putting the time in on the water, you're doing the homework, and you're going and you're proficient at what you do, whether it's walleye, smallmouth, but your attention is solely through passion. You know what I mean? You're a passionate angler, and I think you're a fantastic individual to have on the River Run podcast. And like I said, I thank you so much for coming on by. And it's been fantastic. It will be one of those things that I think I look forward to hearing more and more. And I hope maybe after the Hobie Fishing World Championships that you will want to come back and tell us how it went. Maybe we get a couple of your teammates on it too. To maybe
absolutely.
Get if they're interested. They don't. If nobody's interested, I know Jamie Stevenson might be interested, but she's gonna have to come back on, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are gonna want to know more about like how it went that day. And so we wish you all the best at the Hobie Fishing Championship, the Worlds. Go Canada, go. And thank you for coming on by the River Run podcast. And we'll hope to see you soon. Take care. All right, guys. You heard it. Jamie Stevenson. Wow. That was really cool. It was lots of fun to have her on, sitting down to talk with every one of yous who came and listened. This is great. I have to share one thing though. It just came up that my son has won his first baseball game. Way to go, dude! Love you, Easton. You're an awesome hockey player and awesome baseball player. I'm seeing here too. So, dude, congratulations. Also, guys, don't forget Dubro Fishing run RUN10. Use it at checkout. We're holding it down. Big shout out to Brian Schiller for that and all the guys at Dubro. But I just want to take a quick minute to thank every one of you who comes on, hangs out, listens to the River Run, likes, shares, comments. Guys, I love it. I appreciate it. You guys make it awesome. I'm doing this for you guys. I think there's an amazing group of anglers in Canada and in the US. Like, we can't just say like Canada, like, because North America's a gigantic place. And I want to just say that at the end of the day, the River Run is about having fun. It's about anglers, and we are here to just spread the passion that it's all about. So guys, I just wanted to take a quick minute to thank you all
And I hope to see you soon on the River Run. I'm Adam Pross, your host. Take care. Till next time.